Welcome to the Path of Mantra podcast, where I share insights on yoga, tantra, and Shakti sadhana. This podcast is dedicated to all sincere spiritual aspirants from East and West. We embrace mantra as a core tool of personal and spiritual growth. I invoke the blessings of my Gurudev, Swami Nikhileshwarananda, and of the Great Goddess. We are not alone. In the invisible world, there are countless beings far more spiritually advanced than us. Many of them are loving and compassionate, willing to help us if we know how to contact them and if we can pass their tests. Their light, wisdom, and power far exceeds ours. Having access to even a fraction of that energy will make your life extremely fruitful and blissful. Winning their grace is like having a genie in a lamp for the fulfillment of our heartfelt desires and also for spiritual liberation. In the path of mantra yoga, which lies at the heart of Hindu Tantra, we learn how to uplift ourselves spiritually and how to speak the language of the gods so that we may establish a connection with them. This connection, once established, carries over from lifetime to lifetime, accelerating our spiritual unfoldment and helping us in our material lives with greater abundance, protection, knowledge, health, and happiness. In spiritual paths where establishing a connection with the divine is not emphasized, you are basically on your own, doing your best with the spiritual teachings and practices you were given. Yes, you have the support of the teacher or master, and perhaps also of a community, but in your own process you are alone. In Tantra, it is different. You are not alone. To the degree that your mystical connection with your chosen deity is established, that energy begins to come into your life and carry you forward. You are in the cooking pot of the deity. Your individual spiritual practice, sadhana, is a part of a larger process. You are subtly guided in your life from within to be in the right places, to do the right things, and to navigate your life and practice in the most helpful way. How then do we speak the language of the gods? First, we must purify our mind, body, and heart, fine-tune our subtle energies, and raise our vibration. Then we use the refined instrument of our body, mind, heart to invoke the deity through his or her mantra, by following the ritual steps laid out by the ancient sages who first contacted them. There is a protocol to be followed, with steps which may seem puzzling and inconsequential for the novice, but which are full of meaning and energetic effects. After some time and continuous practice, you gain proficiency in this process. You grow in devotion, faith, and concentration. The connection with the deity, which was initially just an act of imagination, becomes a lived, felt reality. You might not be able to see the deity yet, and you can't ask for help yet, but you already know that you are not alone. A higher power is stepping into your life, invited by your devotion. At this point, the sadhana becomes its own reward, and something you look forward to regardless of any special effects or material results. My guru said that it takes 3 to 5 years of daily practice to establish this type of bond with the deity. Can you persevere for this long? Not just going through the motions as a dead routine, but actually with heart and intentionality? That is the first big milestone. That timeline, of course, varies greatly from person to person, yet it's a good frame of reference. Some people have beautiful spiritual experiences and blessed coincidences happening in their life since their first few months of taking on the sadhana. Others take longer. Alongside growing your sadhana power through your chosen deity, you can also take on other mantras temporarily to help you solve particular challenges in your life and inner world. Your rate of success in those would depend on how much you have developed the 3 F's of mantra practice: focus, faith, and feeling. The purpose of this podcast is to give you the knowledge and inspiration needed for you to get to that point. That point is really just the beginning of Tantra. Yet once you reach it, you'll be able to stand on your feet. It is an event that can change the course of your evolution for lifetimes. A true turning point. If this is what you want, and you're willing to learn this new language and persevere through the tests, then stick around. This, my friends, that I have just read for you is the preface of a book that I intend to write. A book that has been cooking inside of me for years as I go through this path of mantra as a Westerner, crossing the tremendous cultural and spiritual abyss, making sense of things, connecting, going through the ups and downs. And it is my wish to pass this forward so that you don't need to go through the same challenges that I've gone through. Now, this was supposed to be a book, and very likely it will be a book. But recently, I've received a message, a sign, to start speaking about this now. And that was the birth of this podcast. Now, the following episodes will be me speaking spontaneously, rather than based on a script. Now you might be curious about, who am I? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Who am I? In the relative world, I am a spiritual aspirant. I am a practitioner of the ancient science of mantras. My spiritual path has had different phases. In the initial phase, when I was 14 to 17 years old, I was studying the Western occult tradition: Kabbalah, mysticism, alchemy, tarot. Then I move on to Zen Buddhism, where I was initiated by a Rishi, and I practiced sincerely, and I wanted to become a monk, and I shaved my head, lived for 2.5 months in a monastery. And then I left that path for reasons that I may get into later, if relevant. Then I find myself in the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, the classical non-duality teachings of the Vedas and Upanishads. I was following Ramana Maharshi, Papaji, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and for a period of time also Muji, with whom I was really close. And for 9 years, my daily practice was self-inquiry, Atma Vichara. During that time, I had a powerful awakening. There was a vision, a becoming, a union with the Paramatman, the pure self, the pure being. And there was a point of no return for me. But I knew that that's just the beginning. And so I continued on with a different taste, with a different spirit. I moved on then to the path of yoga and tantra, which is what I've been following since 2014. In this path, I experimented with many different teachings, practices, meditations. I got a lot from the teachings of Swami Rama of the Himalayas, Swami Satyananda and his disciples of the Bihar School of Yoga, Shiva Balayogi, and Yogi Gupta. These were the 4 main streams. Until in 2017, in a trip to India, where I was beginning already to explore mantra on my own. I was doing a mantra of Bhuvaneshwari, one of the 10 Mahavidyas, the 10 wisdom goddesses, as I had learned from a couple of books of David Frawley on the topic. I believe mantra, primal sound, and the power of mantras, something like that, and the 10 wisdom goddesses. And I was connecting with Bhuvaneshwari. I prayed to her intensely at a certain time. Show me my guru. I need a guru in Tantra. And that day, unexpectedly, a friend of mine showed me a book. She said, I think you will like this. I had seen the cover of the book and I didn't feel any interest. But the way she said, it felt like, oh, it's interesting that it's coming this way. There's an energy here. And that book was The Power of Tantra by Arvind Shrimali. I read the book and I was so impressed with him, with his knowledge, with his achievements. The only other book that I found in English was Practical Hypnotism. I felt I'm not interested in hypnotism, but still, I want to know. Maybe there's something there for me. And that book was also very powerful. A third of that book is applicable to everybody in any spiritual path. It's about the core trainings of the mind. And so in the following months, I started having dreams where this man, Arvind Shrimali, was coming into my dreams. As a friend, as a teacher, showing this or that. And I felt a big sense of connection and resonance with him. Eventually, in the 12 months following that, I began to regard him as my guru, and this as my path. This happened slowly. The more I would read of him and practice, and there are very little in English, by the way, I would feel a greater and greater sense of connection. And in 2018, I decided to go to India and receive Diksha, initiation. I received initiation from his youngest son, Arvind Shrimali, which passes on the Shakti path of his father and guru and travels around India running workshops, known as shivirs in Hindi. And since then, this has been my path. And I've struggled a lot in this path to understand certain things, to grow, to cultivate certain qualities inside of me, to make me fit to be a disciple. My guru has said that it takes 5 years for someone to become a disciple, from a devotee or follower to a disciple. I remember the day where I spoke to my guru, to Arvind Shrimali, his son, the one who was initiating me, on the phone. And he said out of the blue, in the same kind of week where I was thinking about that, he told me out of the blue, congratulations, you have become a disciple. And that's the biggest achievement. So I record these podcasts, sharing my experiences, insights, and the prana, the Shakti that I have received or cultivated through this path. There are many different lineages of Tantra. And to some extent, they are as different from each other as the different lineages of Buddhism, for example. The lineage that I'm part of is within the world of Shakta Tantra. Most of the Tantra nowadays is Shakta Tantra anyhow. However, my guru has practiced sadhanas and achieved siddhis, also of Shaiva Tantra, Vaishnava Tantra, and many different deities, not only the Devi. And all of that is kind of mixed. But the general taste of the whole lineage is Shakta Tantra. And my guru believed that with the power of mantra and tantra, you can solve all problems of life. That it's not only about spiritual liberation, kundalini awakening, getting access to samadhi and all of that. It is also for you to achieve fulfillment, to fulfill your wishes, your genuine desires, your needs in life. He taught the science of mantra and tantra in a way that elevates you in your spiritual life and in your material life. And this is not a very common approach with authentic masters. Most of them are renunciants, focusing only on spiritual growth. But this is fully in alignment with the spirit of the Vedas and with the spirit of the Tantras. The Veda says that there are 4 goals in human life: kama, artha, dharma, moksha. We'll probably focus on that in a future episode. But briefly, kama is about happiness, pleasure, feeling well, good relationships, happy family life, etc. Artha is financial abundance, is recognition in your career. Not about having an Instagram account with 1 million followers, not fame in that sense, but in the sense of being recognized in your field, in your community. Security. Then dharma. Dharma is doing your duty, doing your mission, living your purpose, contributing back to the world based on who you are, based on your unique skills. So if you are a writer, mantras can help you be a more insightful and successful writer. If you run an organization, the power of mantras and sadhana can make you run that organization more skillfully, in a more enlightened way, in a way that benefits more people. And then the 4th goal is moksha, liberation. But everything that is included in that, all the different steps of spiritual unfoldment. Awakening the kundalini, purifying the nadis, growing certain virtues, etc. And so that is my guru, that is my lineage, that is me, that's where I'm coming from. And this is the spirit of this podcast. Whether you're interested in the path of mantra purely for spiritual development, or also for complete fulfillment of all aspects and areas of life, it is my sincere hope that this will be of service to you. Jai Mataji.